Mr. Wit Tuttell. Wit is the Executive Director of Visit and See. He has more than 20 years of experience in the tourism industry, so he looks a lot younger than he is. He's also on the board of the U.S. Travel Association, and Wit is, and I don't say this lightly, there's a lot of marketing is thrown around very loosely. It's thrown around very loosely here, it's thrown around very loosely everywhere. Everybody who has bought a newspaper ad feels like they can be a marketing executive the next day. Wit really is a guru when it comes to marketing, and because of the work of him and his team, North Carolina is again 6th in the nation for overnight stays. So we're fortunate to have Wit in this community here today to make this speech, and please help me welcome Mr. Wit Tuttell.
Thanks. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. I guess I'm one of those starry-eyed marketing guys, so I'm excited about that, and I'm doing what David told me. He told me to give you guys a kind of look at what's going on, what we're doing for marketing, and what's going on that can be applicable to Rocky Mount. And I'm starry-eyed about Rocky Mount as well. You know, I think this place is amazing. The bones here are just are fantastic for business as well as tourism, and I think the future, the sky really is the limit. And Teresa's going to help me out on a presentation. I'm going to show you something. I'm the marketing guy, so I like big pictures and things to help me showcase what's going on. So we'll go to the first slide. What we talk about is we're not the Division of Tourism anymore. We're part of the Economic Development Partnership, which I really appreciate. I appreciate the ability to speak here today and throw my water around. But that's because tourism is economic development, and we're proud to be part of that. Now, what we do as the Visit North Carolina, as opposed to the Division of Tourism, is exactly the same thing. Our job is to get people to come here, spend money, and then leave. Okay, that's great. That's what we want you to do. Spend your money and then go home. And we focus our efforts on that. We don't have a big budget, so the way we do that is we have to leverage strategic partnerships to manage that money and go out and find creative ways to market the state. What we do, I wanted to look at the impact of tourism, and the best way we look at it is lodging indicators. We set records in 2013 for the state in every one of these lodging indicators, and we're looking at the numbers full year 2014 now, and it's great to see that as a state we were beating all those records. Now, we look at North Carolina as opposed to the U.S. We also look at the South Atlantic. That's really our heavy competitive set. The fourth item down there, if you look, is room revenues, and if we beat our record by more than 10% on room revenues, that's a fantastic year for us. But what I look at is the fifth statistic, and that's demand. It's our job as the tourism office to generate that demand, people wanting to come here. So if we can beat our record, which we set in 2013, we're really proud of that as well. And we talk about 2013 is the last year we have the full economic impact figures. And this is tourism spending. As Chris said, it's a $20 billion industry in the state. We're really proud of that. It is economic development at its heart, tourism. And it's not just $20 billion, it's $1 billion that comes back to the state of North Carolina and goes into that treasury and helps fund all kinds of other programs. It's employment for 200,000 people. And yes, tourism employment runs the gamut from low-wage jobs to higher wage jobs. And what I think is really important is that it runs this spectrum of a life cycle of someone. We have jobs for people that are in high school that need that start. We have jobs for college students that need that to help further their education. And then we have full-time jobs for people that are in the industry. And then we even have jobs for people that are on the other end, that are about to retire, that are looking to help, to do part-time. And those drag our wage figures down. But I think that's important, that we can help people find employment and be engaged in your community throughout their life cycle, even into retirement, through volunteerism. That's really important for us to highlight for the industry. David asked me to talk about what's going on specifically here in Nash and Edgecombe County. So these are the spending figures. Now, as you saw, this is 2013 data. The state is up about 5%. And you can see here down the bottom, this is really the whole Northeast region. And the Northeast region is behind the state. You can see as a region, you guys are only up 2.3%. And you're essentially flat in Nash and Edgecombe. And there's nothing wrong with being flat coming out of the environment we've been in the last few years. But we really want to see that start to increase and get to the point where the rest of the state is going, where it goes up. Here's a specific look at the counties and what's going on, not just with expenditures, but also payroll, employment, state tax revenue, and local tax revenue. So as you can see there, Tourism is big in these two counties. It's important to the counties. Your location is prime as it relates to being in the transportation areas, but there's a lot more we can do. And what I wanted to show was some of the counties that really have had large increases in this year. And what you'll see about a lot of these counties is they're all counties that have focused on their downtowns and bringing that out, bringing the business out, making it a focus of what's going on for visitors. Because you can't just market a hotel room. And that's one of the things we talked with David about originally is you're not selling a hotel room. Yeah, you have a hotel room. You're selling the experience somebody has when they come and they stay in that hotel room. So next I'm going to talk about how to get visitors here. I took a lot of these from a guy named Roger Brooks, who does a fantastic job talking about marketing to downtown. One of the most important things, what do people do when they visit, when they come here to visit? Well, these are all the things people do from North Carolina. And of course, most people are visiting friends and relatives, but what they're really doing is they're trying to spend money. They're coming out here, they're shopping, they're doing the dining, they're doing museums. They want to spend money when they come here. It's our job to get them to spend that money. What are some of the best ways? Well, Roger has a fascinating stat here, and it's really the average visitor, they're active for 14 hours in your community. Now, the primary activity that brings them here is only a small fraction of that time. So, okay, they may come, and they may just be stopping by overnight on the way to someplace else, so that's fine. But they have those hours in your community that they can spend, and they can fill that time with spending. You have to make sure they know they can spend. And so that's where the secondary activities are. The fascinating thing is that secondary activities contribute 80% of visitor spending. So even though they're coming for something else, they're spending more of their money on other things. Because typically the things we travel for aren't really the things we put a lot of the money into. We don't travel to eat typically, but you're going to want to eat in a nice restaurant. And if you've got a restaurant that's specific to that area, locally, authentic, people love that, and they're willing to spend on that. And that's where they're spending the money. So it's important to keep that in mind. And how do you get people to come? Well, curb appeal. This study shows that curb appeal is responsible for 70% of the spending in most of these places. People they read a brochure, but the eye test is what makes it. If the place looks like it's inviting to a visitor, they're going to stop. If it doesn't look inviting, if it's got that thing that just doesn't feel right, they're not going to stop. And you're going to lose almost 70% of that spending. So that's really key. And one of my favorite things that Roger talks about is night equals life. And I have a personal story here. It relates to the little town called Banner Elk. And I drive to Banner Elk a lot. I love the coast and I love the mountains and I love North Carolina. My wife loves Banner Elk, and in their chamber they have a sign, they have a little tag that says just B-E, Banner Elk. My wife loved that. I was like, oh gosh, I love that. So I'm a good husband. I said I'm going to go get her a t-shirt that says just B, right? So I've been to Banner Elk, I think probably 11 times. And the Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center has never been open any one of those times I've gone up there. Why? Because I'm not going there on Wednesday on 2 o'clock. I'm going at night and on the weekends because that's when people travel. And if you're not open when people travel, they can't spend their money there. And that's a huge problem we have for people. And I understand some people don't want to work on a Sunday. They don't want to work after 5 o'clock. But that's when visitors want to spend. And if you want them to spend, you need to be open during those times. And then Roger has a great thing. He calls it the 10 plus 10 plus 10 rule. And that's really that a place, you need 10 places that serve food. And we're not talking about a McDonald's. We're talking about a place that's unique and has a little local flavor. It doesn't have to be a high-end restaurant. It can be a hot dog place. As long as it's a local hot dog place, that's what people want. They want 10 destination retail shops. And that's something that sells something, even if it's a trinket, they want something where they can go, feel like they got an experience and spend some money. And then they want 10 places that are open after 6 p.m. That's a real key to look at with your destination. Do you have that? Because that's where people are going to spend money, and they want to spend it. You just have to allow them to spend it for you. Now, I wanted to talk about where we are in the state of North Carolina, what the perception is of visitors. So we do something every 4 or 5 years. It's called an attitude and awareness study, and it also is an ROI study. So we go out and look at our advertising, and we take a survey. There's a national firm that does this for us. They're actually out of Canada. And they look at about 10,000 travelers. They find out who's been in North Carolina and who hasn't. And they also find out who's seen our advertising, whether they've come to North Carolina or not. We want to see who's seen our ads and who hasn't seen our ads. And they show us some of the results of that. One of the things they tell us, which I always think is fascinating, they tell us what the hot buttons are for those travelers. they ask those travelers, what is important in a destination for you? And these are some of the things they have. And if you don't have this in your community, then you need to get it, because that's what these people are looking for, these people that are spending. They want it to be a fun place. They want to feel comfortable, but they also want entertainment. And that's something we struggle with in North Carolina. We're known as a state with natural scenic beauty. Everywhere in the state is beautiful. But beauty is nice, but you don't spend money on beauty. You spend money on entertainment and having fun, eating, going to restaurants, nightlife. We look at, as part of this study, when we look at it, it asks us what our competitors are. We tell them who our competitors are. And then one of the things they do is they look at the budgets. And these are our budgets. We do this every 5 years. So this was 2005, 2010, and 2014. And you look at there, and most of our competitors have all done what I call the U-turn. Everybody went down with the recession, and now everybody's going up. Now, we still haven't. And you can also see where our budget's lower than every one of our competitive set. That's tough, but we can't just sit and complain about it. What we have to do is just be smarter in the way we spend our dollars. And the way we do that is we share with local tourism offices, and we partner on everything we do. It's all a cooperative opportunity for us. Then they talk about how advertising impacts the awareness of the community. So this is a survey of people who are aware of North Carolina and unaware of us. So unaware people are in red. Those are people who have not seen our ads. That's what they think of North Carolina. The people in the green are the people who have seen our ads. Haven't necessarily visited, but they've just seen our ads. So that shows us that our advertising is working, is creating more of a positive image for the state. And it really helps us show what our advertising does to help people. Now, we saw a big problem when we did it last time, and it was people just weren't aware of us. And we're spending half as much as Virginia, South Carolina, and Tennessee on tourism advertising. So our awareness has slipped to 36%. And as you saw, when people weren't aware of you, they had a lower opinion of us. So our job was to try and get more awareness. Now, we succeeded in that. The way we did that is we changed the way we advertised. We used to be very print heavy. We were in magazines, everywhere trying to show big, pretty pictures. And now travel's being planned on the internet. So we've completely changed our focus. The majority of our advertising is digital. We're out there when people are planning travel, we're in their face. And we're getting in front of them, and we're trying to find ways to showcase our beauty and the things we have to offer on a digital platform. This is sort of our scoreboard when we look at scoreboards. This is our advertising budget from 2010. You can see between 2010 and 2014, we actually lost a little bit of money in the budget cycle. But what I'm really proud of is we drew more people with those dollars because we made them more aware. And if we're driving more people with those dollars, then we're doing our job as a tourism office. And then what I love to show is that return on investment. For every dollar of state funds that we're given, we return $15 back into that state treasury. It's about $160 comes to the state, but in state tax revenue alone, every dollar we spend to advertise the state, it brings back $15 in spending, and it brings it back quickly. So we're excited about that. And then when we talk about economic development, I'm so excited to be here. A lot of people don't think of tourism as economic development, but it really does help. There are some specific examples in North Carolina. Companies that have come here because the CEOs enjoyed it. They came on vacation and they enjoyed it. Now this slide I think helps illustrate that. These are people who have been here in the past 2 years. That's the green. The yellow is they've been here before, but it's more than 2 years ago, or they've never been here. And it asks them if this is a good place to live, to start a career, or what I think is really important is to start a business. And what that shows is that people that come here and visit are more likely to come here and start a business and create it. So a lot of times getting that visitor is the first step to bringing that economic investment into your community. And this is one of my favorite things. These are people that have just seen our ads, so they have not been to North Carolina. But if you've seen one of our tourism ads, you're more likely to think that this is a place where I might want to start a business. So that's really the connection. It's why we're so excited to be part of the EDPNC, is I think our tourism marketing can really help bring those businesses here by creating that positive image for North Carolina. Now, a lot of the way we do it is through cooperative advertising, so I wanted to show you a little bit of what we do. This is an ad from a magazine, and what we do is we go and buy a 2-page spread, and then we sell it out to partners, local tourism offices, at a reduced rate. So they can get in a section that's themed to North Carolina. If you don't do this, the next slide kind of shows what you're going to be in. This is the same magazine, a different page, with people who go at it on their own. You're competing with Alaska, you're competing with Montana, you're competing with Arizona. The way we do our programs, you're all part of the North Carolina section, and we all work together because the visitor that comes to Raleigh most likely is going to go to other places. So we're all in this together, and I think it's really important that we develop those regional connections to keep the visitor here. If you can keep him here one more night, that's another $500 in spending that you're going to get. This is our cooperative advertising plan. If anybody wants to know about it, all the ads we do are co-op, so anyone can join us. We always look forward to having partners, restaurants, lodging, attraction, join us for the cooperative advertising. All of this is available online at partners.visitnc.com. That's where our strategic plan is. We also send out a weekly newslink, e-newsletter. Please come up and see me after the question and answer section. I would love to sign you up so you know exactly what's going on and all the different aspects of the tourism office. And if you're interested in participating with us, we'd love to have you. So that's it. Thank you very much.